Hare Krishna. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, ninth chapter, titled as Answers by Citing Lord's Version, text number 40. Sukadeva Goswami is reciting this shloka for the benefit of Parikshit Maharaj as well as for the benefit of all of us. So, initially we saw that Brahmaji did tapasya and Brahmaji's tapasya was successful, and Lord Vishnu blessed Brahmaji, following which Brahmaji got darshan of Lord Vishnu. And then, as per the instructions of Lord Vishnu, Brahmaji started creation of the universe. So the next shloka here is prajā-patir dharma-patir ekadā niyamān bhadraṁ prajānām anvicchan ātiṣṭhat svārtha-kāmyayā. Translation. Thus, once upon a time, the forefather of living entities and the father of religiousness, Lord Brahma, situated himself in acts of regulative principles, desiring self-interest for the welfare of all living entities. So here the details about Brahmaji's qualities are mentioned here. So Brahmaji here is mentioned as prajāpatir, the forefather of all the living entities. Dharma-patir, the father of religiousness. So those are the two special qualities of Brahmaji, Prajāpati and Dharma-patir. So purport by Srila Prabhupada. One cannot be situated in an exalted position without having undertaken a regulative life of rules and regulations. An unrestricted life of sense gratification is animal life. And Lord Brahma, in order to teach all concerned within the jurisdiction of his generations, taught the same principles of sense control for executing higher duties. So, one of the most important qualification for exalted position, you understand the exalted position. Exalted position means the most respectable position. Like, for example, Guru's position is exalted position. Or maybe like somebody who is a president or prime minister or he is the chief, that is an exalted position. Now, when you reach to the exalted position, the requirement is regulative life of rules and regulations. So, regulative life is very, very important, which means that there are many rules and regulations, but the basic rules and regulations: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit relationship. These are the four main basic rules. And then there are other rules and regulations for devotees, which is to observe ekadashi, observe fasting, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, serving devotees, doing deity worship, visiting holy places. So all those are rules and regulations for devotees. Without rules and regulations, you cannot reach to the top. Every state has rule and regulation. Every government has rule and regulation. So everybody has to follow the rules and regulations. If you do not follow, then you cannot be successful. An unrestricted life of sense gratification is an animal life. So suppose somebody says, oh, I don't worry about the rules and regulations. I will do whatever I want. And that is an animal life, which is not conducive for self-realization. If you really want to see Krishna, if you want to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your heart, if you want to take His darshan, then you have to follow niyama. So there are two things, niyama graha and niyama agraha. Niyama agraha means not following the rules and regulations. Niyama agraha means following without understanding. So when we follow the rules and regulations, we have to understand them and then follow them properly. Lord Brahma, he is teaching through his life. Brahmaji also followed the life of rules and regulations. And control of senses is very, very important. Unrestricted sense control or sense gratification, unrestricted sense gratification is not conducive for progress in the spiritual life. Prabhupada writes, he desired the welfare of all as the servants of God, and anyone desiring the welfare of the members of his community and generations must conduct moral and religious life. Brahmaji, he wanted to become the servant of God. So when you want to become the servant of God and you want to serve the community, then you have a requirement. What is the requirement? Moral and religious life. So moral life means following the code of morals, values. No cheating, no lying, no activities which is against the principles of karmas. Otherwise you will be in trouble. The highest life of moral principle is to become the devotee of Lord, because the pure devotee of Lord has all the good qualities of the Lord. On the other hand, one who is not a devotee of Lord, however qualified he may be, in the mundane sense of term, cannot be qualified with any good quality worthy of the name. So, when one becomes devotee of Lord, then all the good qualities, all the godly qualities automatically flows in the devotee's life. He doesn't have to try anything hard. In the other sense, somebody who is materially very wealthy, materially have a lot of opulences, but he cannot have all the godly qualities because he is not connected with the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is just like if you are connected with electricity, your body becomes electricity. Similarly, if you are connected with Krishna, then your body becomes Krishna conscious. The pure devotee of the Lord, like Brahma and persons in the chain of disciplic succession, do not do anything to instruct their subordinates without acting accordingly themselves. So this is very important. It's called walk your talk. Walk your talk means that if somebody is following the things in his life, then his words have impact on the life of common people. So Brahmaji followed the principles of religiousness. Hence, Brahmaji could transmit that same power of or same strength of spirituality to his children, like four Kumaras, who are the greatest of the great devotees. Because Brahmaji had that spirituality, so four Kumaras got it. Or Brahmaji had the spiritual strength, so he could give it to Narad Muni, his disciple. If Brahmaji had no Krishna consciousness, he could not give it to Narad Muni. And Narad Muni had no consciousness of Krishna consciousness, he could not give it to Vedvyasji. Vedvyasji had Krishna consciousness, so he could give it to Sukadeva Goswami. So in this way, you can give what you have practiced. So it is very important that we practice the principles of religion before we give it to others. In this way, yes, in this way it ends the purport of this shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam